What if the woman behind one of history's greatest and most enigmatic dynasties was both a victim of unimaginable betrayal and a master strategist who rewrote the very rules of power? Her story isn't just about royal titles, political alliances, or divine right. It's about a woman who faced the darkest storms of her life, endured betrayal, exile, and personal loss, and yet emerged as a divine force, an icon of resilience and cunning. This is the incredible journey of Arsinoe II, an ancient queen whose life was shaped by tragedy and hardship, but who ultimately rose to command her own destiny with fearless authority. From her earliest days, Arsinoe's existence was a constant struggle for survival in a tumultuous world where loyalty was fleeting and betrayal lurked behind every corner. Born into chaos, her childhood was far from idyllic. It was filled with secret plots, dangerous secrets, and the ruthless pursuit of power. Could her father's hidden sins, his clandestine ambitions, and his ruthless political maneuvers have cast a shadow over her entire life? Or was her resilience a product of pure instinct, an innate ability to adapt, survive, and thrive amid chaos? The post-Alexander the Great era was a battlefield, not just of armies clashing on distant plains, but of treacheries, assassinations, and political machinations that shook the very foundations of kingdoms. Power was seized with violence, trust was a fragile illusion, and alliances shifted like sand. Arsinoe's father, a fierce and ambitious general, carved out a new empire from the chaos, an empire built on bloodshed, ambition, and deception. His ruthless tactics and strategic cunning left a lasting mark on Arsinoe's early life. Her childhood was a brutal masterclass in political survival, where her worth was measured solely by her marriage prospects, her ability to produce heirs, and her capacity to forge alliances. Her first marriage was no love story, but a calculated move, an alliance designed to cement her family's grip on Egypt and expand their influence. Arsinoe, still a girl, was thrown into a court filled with vipers and scheming courtiers, where every smile concealed a dagger. She was used as a pawn in her father's game, her marriage a tool to strengthen her family's political position. She gave birth to sons, but these children were more like chess pieces than loved ones, assets in her family's ongoing game of power and control. But her real trials truly began when her marriage turned deadly. Arsinoe's husband, a man manipulated by her influence and driven by false rumors, believed that she was plotting against him, rumors that would set her world ablaze. Her every move, even those made for survival, seemed to ignite a chain of events that would destabilize kingdoms and threaten her very life. Did she orchestrate her son's downfall to secure her future? Or was she merely a survivor doing what was necessary in a world where trust was a rare commodity? The line between victim and villain blurred as her story unfolded.
Then, whispers of dark secrets and suffering began to circulate. Stories that spoke of abuse, of a childhood marred by her father's forbidden acts, claims of incest, and forced unions meant to elevate his bloodline and secure his power. Yet, historians dismiss many of these sensational tales, arguing that there is no credible evidence Arsinoe was ever a victim of such horrors. Instead, her life was marked by documented trauma, loss, exile, betrayal, and a relentless fight for survival. Her world was shattered after her husband's death, leaving her vulnerable and exposed. Alone in exile, she fled to distant cities, her enemies ever watchful and closing in. Yet, amid the ruins of her shattered life, A new figure began to emerge, a man who would become her savior and ultimately her destroyer. Her half-brother, a rising star in Macedonia, offered her protection, but at a steep price, marriage, and the ultimate control over her destiny. Arsinoe faced a pivotal choice: accept his terms and marry him, or face annihilation. In a masterstroke of cunning and strategic thinking, she chose the former. She married her own brother. This move shattered Greek norms and conventions, but it was deeply rooted in Egyptian tradition, marrying siblings to preserve and elevate divine bloodlines. To Arsinoe, this was more than a political alliance. It was a spiritual act. Her bold decision not only secured her family's future, but also transformed her into a symbol of divine authority. Her union with her brother wasn't merely a marriage. It was a statement, a revolutionary act that challenged established conventions and redefined royal legitimacy. Her image appeared on coinage, her voice in foreign policy, her presence felt across the land. She was worshipped as a living goddess, her name inscribed in temples, her statues revered by her people. Arsinoe had stepped beyond the role of a mere consort or wife. She was a co-ruler, an architect of her own power. Her transformation was astonishing. She turned suffering into sovereignty, pain into divine authority. Her resilience and strategic brilliance made her a legend, a woman who refused to be subdued by her circumstances. But her story was far from over. Her death did not mark the end of her influence. Her brother, a devout follower of her legend, elevated her to divine status, enshrining her as a goddess across Egypt. Her image, often depicted holding symbols of prosperity, became a lasting emblem of divine kingship. Her legacy endured long after her passing, influencing generations of rulers who sought to emulate her divine model of power. Her life and reign became a blueprint for resilience, cunning, and unwavering strength. Her daring break with tradition did more than reshape her own life. It set a precedent. The practice of sibling marriage, long a part of Egyptian royal customs, was revitalized and formalized, ensuring the purity and divine nature of the royal bloodline. For over 2 centuries, this tradition persisted, producing a lineage of powerful queens and kings, including the legendary Cleopatra VII, who carried her ancestors' rebellious spirit into the final days of Egypt's independence. Through her actions, Arsinoe helped shape an ancient legacy that would influence Egyptian royalty for generations. Was Arsinoe a victim of her circumstances, trapped in a web of betrayal, cultural constraints, and political intrigue? Or was she a master manipulator, forging her own destiny amid chaos? Modern stories paint her as both, a tragic figure shaped by her pain and suffering, yet a cunning woman who turned her suffering into a throne. Her life was a relentless war against betrayal, exile, and loss, but she emerged victorious, transforming herself from a pawn in her family's game into a divine queen and a symbol of resilience. The echoes of her reign ripple through history. Arsinoe's legend persists, not just as a story of a fallen princess or ruthless queen, but as a symbol of unbreakable will and divine authority. She refused to be defined by her suffering. Instead, she used her pain as a foundation for divine kingship, demonstrating that even in a brutal world designed to crush women, one woman's resilience could challenge the very fabric of history. Her life and legacy continue to inspire those who believe that strength, intelligence, and perseverance can forge a path through darkness. If stories of women who shattered conventions, defied expectations, and forged their own destinies fascinate you, remember to like and subscribe to Winds of Thought. Because the most extraordinary queens of history aren't just stories, they are lessons in resilience, cunning, and power, waiting to be rediscovered and celebrated. From the ashes of pain, Arsinoe forged her empire. Legends are carved in blood and sacrifice. Her story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, resilience and strategic brilliance can create a legacy that lasts for eternity.